And for this one, I'm gonna just keep this to a conversation, and then we'll roll back into the system. But this is important, right? Where we see the industry going today, and over the course of the last 6.5 years that we've been doing this in this industry and designing software just for the industry, is ease of use. Many of you are sitting on the phone. I have conversations every day, every week with people who are concerned, right? Well, I don't want to slow down my operations. You know, automation can't slow down your operations. It can't slow down your end users. It can't be more difficult for your suppliers to provide information online than it is for them to do it via email, right? All those things have to be taken into consideration when you're looking at starting to capture that data, right? We talk many times, as I scroll over here, about mobile technology. And SafetyChain has its own mobile apps available in Android and the Apple Play Store, right? And the idea that these apps are, you know, designed after what we're all doing, what Jill and I were kidding about, what many of you are doing on this call right now. You're on your phone, you're kind of half paying attention a little bit, but the idea is that we had to design these apps to take into consideration how people are using their devices today. Not only that, but what the tools allow you to do is actually provide much greater prevention, as Jill mentioned, than reaction. Think about when you do forms on a paper-based form. It's just sitting there accepting an end user writing data on it, and then expecting them most times to read the direction of what has occurred. So the idea here around smart data collection is that, number one, and especially on the example you're seeing here from this mobile device in the center of your screen, number one, based on the entry, the screen can dynamically, with logic, right? If I say yes, it may have 3 other questions. If I say no, it may not have another question. If I enter in 32 degrees rather than 37 degrees, it may open up another series of questions that are required for me to complete. So think about that again, that great program you've put in place, and then in turn, the great forms that you've already put in place, they still sit there on a piece of paper and they're not logical. They don't give instant feedback to that end user where it's applicable. So that's really a big deal about smart data collection and that real-time analysis. Like I said, the ability to send out alerts and notifications to end users, to supervisors, right? I always love that when you read a paper-based form, right, at the very end, it says, well, if this happens, go call Jill right away, right? Wouldn't it be nice if the system just knew to go email Jill and say, hey, Jill, something's happened? That all happens with automation. That all happens with these tools. Not only that, but then some real cool technology, like the ability to take pictures and photographs of what you're seeing when you're doing an audit or when you're doing an inspection, or the idea that suppliers can actually interact, right, directly from a portal and have bi-directional communication with you. Also the ability, I'm sure many of you are sitting here on the phone going, yeah, Dave, that's great, but I work in a facility that was created in, 1945, and it has thick cement walls, and we don't have great Wi-Fi, right? The idea that these apps and these forms that you're seeing were actually created with an offline mode in mind, right? So as you walk through the facility, if you lose connectivity, or if you're out in the field, I see some growers on the call today, right? If you're out in the field and you don't have connectivity, you can still do and manage and use all this logic on the forms, and then once you're reconnected, it generates up into the system. So very important is that second piece, which is how we get data in, but I think the most important part of that is usability. So whenever you're evaluating a technology, whether that's SafetyChain's or anyone's, it's got to be user-friendly and user-friendly for that end user to pick up very quickly and utilize.
SafetyChain. Reduce risks, control costs, ensure compliance.